By far, my least favorite part of any real estate transaction is the inspection process. I hate everything about it. There's got to be a better way to do it that is cost effective. And I will eventually find it. I promise. But it always leads to turmoil. And I have a great example. Here's the story for you. Very, very recently, I have a client who we listed her home and we sold her home. We were very successful very quickly in selling her home, but we had to turn around and find her another one. And we did. She found a home that she loved. We put an offer on it and we got the offer accepted. During that same amount of time, the buyer of the home that we sold had their inspection done on her home that she's currently living in that we just sold. Now, my client happens to be handicapped, so getting in and out of the house isn't so easy. So she requested that she be present while the inspection was happening, and the inspector was cool with it. Now, while he was there, they, of course, had very friendly, casual conversations. She got him coffee. She got him water. I mean, it was nothing inappropriate whatsoever. They were just having conversations. As such, when the time came for her to get the home that she wanted to buy inspected, she thought of this inspector and wanted to use him because they had such a good rapport while he was doing the inspection of her current home. Now, this was against my recommendation. I have an inspector. I have one inspector that I trust 100% of the time, but she did not want to use my recommendation. She wanted to use this particular inspector. And at the end of the day, it is her choice 100%. So I, of course, supported the decision. So she did. He comes in, does his inspection, and it's a very standard inspection. These guys, they're paid to find stuff. So they find stuff. However big, however small, whatever mountain can be made, they will make a mountain most of the time. Well, this inspector she used, notwithstanding, he writes in his inspection that upon examining the attic, he saw that one section of the attic, the ceiling and the walls, were painted black. He had never seen that before. He writes that he sees no reason for that to ever have been something that would need to or wanted to be done. And he writes that he suspects the current sellers used the black paint to hide smoke damage from a previous fire or are hiding the presence of black mold. He writes that in his inspection for her to read. Now, let's be clear about this. Inspectors are not supposed to give subjective opinions about anything. They are there to identify issues that could potentially cause serious safety or even financial issues for the potential buyer later on after they purchase the home. They're there to identify the potential and then make a recommendation that the buyer examines it further to assuage any potential concerns that the inspector identified. That's their job. That's it. That's all they're supposed to do. They are not supposed to give their opinions on what could or could not be because it could directly influence the buyer. Well, guess what happened? She couldn't get past it. She immediately started thinking the absolute worst things possible about these sellers who were working incredibly hard and willing to do whatever she wanted done in the inspection. She thought they were being dishonest. She thought they were lying. She thought that she didn't trust anything on the seller's disclosure. She immediately thought that there was mold and that the mold could be rampant and who knows what's going on in any of the walls in the house. I did my very best to try to bring her into reality and try to focus in on what was identified and see if we could find an actual reason for it. She just wasn't having it. Without doing any further inspections, she instructed me to terminate, and I did. Well, the realtor who was working with the sellers did not go quietly into the night. And I got to tell you, it is very, very rare for me to be impressed with the efforts of realtors. And this guy 100% got me. So the next day after we terminate, he gives me a call. He says, "Hey, Will, I don't know if this is going to make any difference, okay? But this morning I called over a painter friend of mine and he came over to the house and he got up into the attic and he looked at the paint. And while he couldn't be certain as to why the ceiling and the walls were painted, he did say that back in the early 90s when this home was being built, black radiant barrier paint was being utilized in construction, in particular on southern facing directions of homes to help with radiant barrier and heat distribution." And the realtor said, "Is there any way you could prove that that's what this was? That's what's going on in this particular house?" He said, "No, I can't really prove it, but how well do you know the neighbors?" So this real estate agent contacted the 5 houses that are bordering this particular house, went to their doors and asked if he could get up into their attics and take pictures. And sure enough, every single house that was lined up next to this house, so they're all facing south, had certain parts, the southern part of the ceiling and the walls in the attic, painted black. So he sends me all these pictures from all these different addresses, and he says, that's why everything was painted black. And listen, if that's not enough to assuage your buyer's concerns, please let her know that we will do a full mold remediation test. We'll have culture tests. We'll do whatever she needs, and any walls, all ceiling, whatever, to prove that there's no mold in this house. We just don't want to lose this deal. We feel very confident in our house and wish she would too. They did everything they could. I talked to my buyer. She just couldn't get past it. Her response to me at the end was, while I really appreciate all those efforts, I'm just not at peace with it. I just got too scared. I'm still scared about it. I'm always going to have that doubt in my mind. All because this inspector did the one thing he's not supposed to do. I mean, the equivalent of him doing that is like walking into the master bedroom and seeing a pink wall or a purple wall and thinking to themselves, oh, well, you know, these people must be girly girls. Or something just completely asinine. You know, like that's what this guy did. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, we ended up finding another house for my buyer that was even better. She's completely at peace, completely happy. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But there was a lot of effort put forth by 2 very hardworking sellers, and hard work put forth by 2 very hardworking realtors to make this first deal go through. And this inspector doing one thing completely messed the whole thing up for everybody. It's just the one thing that's not supposed to happen. And we later found out, because the selling realtor was so upset by what the inspector did that he started doing research on it. Turns out this home inspector is also a licensed realtor. Conflict of interest? Who knows? Look, again, my buyer is happy. We found her a home. She loves it. And we are entering into her option period as of today. And we are going to have her next home inspected. But I can promise you all that one inspector isn't going anywhere near her house, any other house, as far as I'm concerned, ever.